Do you remember the time when spies did not need sophisticated guns or world-shaking explosions, but only a bowler hat, a cup of tea, and a cold demeanor were enough to make the whole room
Want
fall
to see your
silent?
reaction.
That is precisely the Avengers. The place where John Steed could still calmly readjust his tie in the middle of being surrounded, while Emma Peel and other associates brought completely unpredictable approaches, making every mission become unusual from the very beginning. But the thing that made this series become a monument for many decades lies in much stranger things. Incomprehensible rituals, extremely bold outfits that make us have to rewind repeatedly just to be sure we did not see wrong. Today we will together explore the 10 moments most paused by the audience in The Avengers, 1961-10. Amidst danger, John Steed is still nonchalant as if nothing is happening. When watching this scene, I had to wow, that was when John Steed was surrounded by a group of opponents, right in a closed room with no way out. But he still leisurely poured tea as if everything was not worth bothering about. It is just that normal face. That is the abnormal thing. While those around held guns pointed, straight eyes, tensed, and only waiting for a signal to act. Steed did the complete opposite, no dodging, no reacting, even not changing the pace at all. It is this offbeat nature that makes the frame become strange, as if he is existing in a different layer of reality from the rest. In fact, this is not a coincidence in acting. The series intentionally built Steed as a balance point in a chaotic world where elegance and calmness become the most special weapons. Instead of reacting by instinct, he almost refused to be drawn into danger. This scene is often stopped to scrutinize whether Patrick Macnee was truly leisurely or was trying to brace himself to appear strong. And do you agree with me that the image of John Steed sitting pouring tea while guns are pointed everywhere looks even more dangerous than those who are surrounding him? A ritual that makes the audience not understand what is happening. Perhaps you still remember this bizarre scene in a closed room. People wearing formal attire stand in rows simultaneously performing the same movements as if participating in a rite. But there is not any explanation at all. It is this rite that makes us have to stop to truly understand what it is. The point that makes this scene become special lies in a very small detail. Every action is repeated in a mechanical way, almost without emotion, like they are being controlled rather than voluntary. No one reacts, no one asks questions. And it is that abnormally normal thing that attracts attention. The more we look closely, the more we realize this is not just a simple rite, but the film's way of hinting at the control and manipulation of humans without speaking directly. And perhaps it is precisely that feeling of not understanding, but still being drawn in, that is the thing making this scene linger for a long time after we finish watching. 8. The outfit that almost caused the series to be banned from broadcasting. Mentioning this series, one must certainly mention Emma Peel, a woman who is both charming and dangerous, always making every frame she appears in hard to look away from. But there was a moment her image went further than all, to the point of making the whole episode become a subject of controversy for many years. In a special scene, Emma Peel appeared with an outfit named Queen of Sin, a corset hugging the body, a metal collar attached with spikes, and high leather boots creating a provocative hole. On paper, it was just a bold design, but when on screen the effect was much stronger. Studio lighting, close-up camera angles, and the material of the outfit accidentally highlighted sensitive details more than expected, making many frames exceed the television standards of the time. Not a few shots were considered for removal to avoid causing negative reactions. It is this half-closed, half-open nature that caused the audience to continuously stop rewind repeatedly, just to see clearly every detail, turning it into one of the most paused moments of the entire series. How about you? Do you think this was a deliberately bold move? Or just an overdone moment that the crew did not foresee too? Mrs. Peel, where needed, became the signature line. Fans of The Avengers will probably never forget John Steed's appearances with his familiar line, Mrs. Peel, where needed.
Mrs. Peel, you're needed.
What makes it so memorable is that before hearing those words, Emma Peel is almost always doing something completely ordinary and sometimes even a little eccentric, like exercising, researching, playing music, or simply relaxing at home. That sudden transition from everyday life into the dangerous world of espionage is what made these opening scenes so iconic. We almost instinctively knew that the moment Steed appeared with that line, whatever piece existed beforehand was about to disappear completely. And perhaps that's exactly why so many viewers found themselves pausing these scenes, not just to hear the famous line again, but to see what strange way Emma Peel would be pulled out of her normal life this time. 7. The blow that made the Super Machine's image topple advertised as a weapon with almost no rival, the Cybernauts successfully made me feel both curious and a bit shivering right from the first appearance. Until they truly confronted John Steed and Emma Peel. While the two main characters continuously dodged blows, and found ways to counterattack the Cybernauts. Advanced slowly movements were somewhat limited, almost only repeating one type of simple movement. It is this performance that made the sophisticated weapon image the film built initially become disproportionate when looking at the combat reality. We easily recognize a rather clear gap between how the character is introduced and how it operates on the screen. I had to rewind this combat scene several times to check if the introduced living machine and the thing in front of the eyes were one. But no matter how slow, the Cybernauts still made our main characters have to brace themselves with all their might to defeat it. Well, let's just consider this machine still extremely scary. It's just that it was advertised a bit excessively for. The bowler hat somehow never moves during the most chaotic scenes. During the year, there's another fascinating detail about John Steed that kept making me pause the show over and over again. No matter how intense the situation became, whether he was fighting, dodging attacks, or being chased, his iconic bowler hat somehow stayed perfectly in place. The first time I noticed it, I honestly thought it was just the camera angle creating that impression. But the more scenes I replayed, the more obvious it became that the production team intentionally kept the hat stable during action sequences because it had become such an inseparable part of Steed's identity. What makes it so interesting is that this almost too perfect detail naturally draws our attention. In the middle of total chaos with everything around him constantly changing, Steed still manages to look calm, elegant, and completely unshaken. And honestly, do you think John Steed even feels handsome without that bowler hat on his head 5? A movement so fast that the naked eye cannot keep up. Not only impressing by appearance, Emma Peel also impressed by a strike speed almost impossible to follow with the naked eye. No matter if the opponents were large henchmen or well-trained ones, this beautiful girl still only needed 1 second to handle them cleanly. It is this extremely fast knockout moment that made us have to rewind just to see clearly how the strike actually took place. Normally, films will film slowly or keep the frame longer for us to see clearly each combat movement of the character. But here, the series did the opposite. Emma Peel's strikes took place fast, neatly, and almost brushed past the frame. All because the filming technique and production conditions at that time made action scenes not shown too detailed like modern films. And this itself accidentally created a very unique rhythm for the series. As for you, have you ever stopped this scene to see more clearly the matter of Emma Peel finishing off the bad guys 3? A plan so bizarre that we have to stop to understand how it works. Right from the beginning, the film led us into a trick. Throughout the Avengers are a series of plans so bizarre that sometimes we do not know if we are watching a spy film or a nightmare built with the film's own logic. There are secret organizations operating according to strange rituals bases designed almost unrealistically, and even devices that look absurd at a glance, but actually operate in the world of the film. The interesting thing is the film almost does not explain everything immediately. Many times we have to assemble each small detail ourselves to understand what the villain's plan truly is and what logic it operates on. Because of that, many viewers had to pause at scenes revealing the plot or when the villain explains the plan just to look more closely at the details appearing in the frame and to have more time to digest the storyline. Tell me the truth, have you ever had to pause the film so your brain could load the film content in x6? A whole crowded place, but there is no one. Perhaps you still remember this scene. John Steed steps into a large public space where there should have been many people passing by, but the entire frame is inexplicably empty. The first time watching, I just thought this was a budget limitation. Not enough background actors, so the frame was empty like that. But the more I noticed, the more I saw this repeated too many times to be a coincidence. Spaces that were supposed to be bustling became silent to an abnormal degree, making each of Steed's steps become much more isolated. And the truth behind is even more interesting. Many believe this was a deliberate choice by the production team. Steed was placed in human-lacking spaces to separate him from the normal world, making the character become more suitable for the bizarre situations the film built. Because of that, instead of making the frame more vivid, the series intentionally made it empty. A staging way that goes completely against common logic, but creates a very unique feeling that we can hardly find in other films. 1. the bizarre trap that makes the frame become incomprehensible. There's one scene I had to rewind several times. Terra King walks into a room with an incredibly strange layout. At first glance, it looks fairly ordinary, but the longer you watch it, the harder it becomes to understand how the space actually works. The first time watching, we only see her moving through an enclosed area filled with partitions, doors, and scattered mechanical details. But the more closely we look, the more difficult it becomes to figure out which path is real, which parts are reflections, and where the hidden mechanisms inside the room are actually located. This staging makes the entire frame feel intentionally unclear. The series never fully explains the structure directly, instead revealing pieces of the environment little by little and forcing us to mentally piece together the logic of the room ourselves. And also because of that, this scene very easily makes us have to stop just to look more closely at each detail and try to understand what is truly happening in that space. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our next videos. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.